Hi, it's Michelle, and I am very busy with my new baby boy. So in the meantime, while I take a few weeks off, here's a show that I loved recording, and I thought you'd like to take a second listen to.
Welcome to Mom Talk Radio, the show that tackles topics important to you and your family. Finances, food, education, technology, and everything in between. We've got it covered on Mom Talk.
I'm Michele Jerson, the Passport Mommy, and welcome to the show. So last week I was out because I had this crazy cough that was, one of those hacking hard coughs that nobody wanted to be around me when they heard it. But I wasn't sick. I didn't feel sick. I don't know why I had it. But in the process, hurt my ribs. I'm 35 weeks pregnant. It's just a big mess. So I like to turn to homeopathic remedies for things like this because number one, when you're pregnant, you can't really take a lot of medication. But even when I'm not pregnant, I'm just a big fan of trying to heal yourself naturally, whether it's through garlic, elderberry extract, zinc, all those products, or just, good old fashioned tea and neti pot. And I came across a new product, which I'm thrilled to have the founder with me today, Joyce Dale. She founded Cold Be Gone, B as in BEE, after her newly adopted daughter from Vietnam needed open heart surgery due to a heart defect caused by Agent Orange. Hi, Joyce. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So tell me a little bit about the story behind how you founded this product, your daughter. What an interesting background.
Well, I can actually start with a situation similar to what you've just been through. When my husband and I were newly married, 3 years in, I got really, really sick with a cold. And my go-to as a teacher was Advil cold and sinus. Even though I have a natural bent in my personality, I always like to go to natural products. I was miserable, so I took some Advil cold and sinus. Now, I've always had a benign arrhythmia, and I wound up in the emergency room, and I had to be cardio converted because the medicine I had taken was causing my heart to go bananas.
Oh, my goodness.
And shortly after this, and it was all fine in the end, but it was kind of a scary moment in my life. And shortly after this, we discovered that I was pregnant. And I had that cardio conversion, had the medication in the ER while I was potentially pregnant. And I didn't get past 6 weeks in that pregnancy. I barely even knew I was pregnant when I lost that pregnancy. So, that was traumatic, but not terrifying. And I went to my cardiologist to talk about this arrhythmia, and he said, well, yeah, if you want to have a healthy pregnancy, I'm going to have to put you on these drugs that could potentially change mitochondrial DNA or change the fetus's health. So that right there was this eye opener. And I started going down that rabbit hole of, okay, what does it mean for me to have a healthy pregnancy? What do I have to do to carry to full term? And what do I have to do with my heart to have a healthy pregnancy? Right. And I went to a bunch of cardiologists, and they all said, oh, you're high risk. And some said, no, it's fine. And I got so many varied opinions. And my loving husband finally looked at me and he said, you know what? We're going to adopt.
Aww.
And that's what we did. Yeah.
That's great. And so then you went to Vietnam to adopt your beautiful daughter. And what happened?
Well, in the middle of our referral phase, when you get the picture and you're waiting to get permission to go to another country, we were told she was sick. And we were told she had pneumonia. And then a day later, it wasn't pneumonia, it was a heart defect. And then a day later, it was a heart defect potentially related to Agent Orange, and she needed emergency open heart surgery. And this all happened when she was 8 months old. Oh. And within a week, she'd had the heart correction. Her heart was considered backwards. Her blood flow was going to her lungs twice. And she had developed pulmonary hypertension, and it was just terrifying. Well, the end of that story is 4 months later, we're in Vietnam. I've got this baby. She's recovering. She's super fragile, immunocompromised, and we got her home to the States. And today she's a junior Olympic swimmer, and she's amazing.
Wow. Congratulations. That is an incredible story. So how did you get her strong? And what's behind Cold Be Gone? I mean, that is your inspiration, isn't it, for this product?
Yes. That and my dad, who'd fought lung cancer from asbestos from the Korean War. The two of them, having the word immunocompromised thrown into my life repeatedly was a big wake-up call. And then realizing that traditional cold medicine is off the table for me as it is for her, I had to think outside the box. And I began to study how we catch a cold. And it turns out 99% of the time, we catch most germs, everything, meningitis, colds, flu, everything, when we touch our eyes, ears, nose, or face. And the germs travel, even if you touch your eyes, ears, or mouth, to the upper adenoid passages, to the upper nasal passages, the adenoid zone, where they latch on. And depending on the variety of germ, they will sit there dormant for 1 to 7 days, and then it tricks our body into replicating. And once the replication begins, it begins replicating millions of times over within hours, and you get that cruddy, throaty, horrible feeling that whatever your signal is that you're getting sick.
Yes.
So I became obsessed with, I am not going to be helpless to this a second time in my life. I'm going to learn everything I can about how to keep her well naturally, because having her genetics altered by Agent Orange was, for me, a signal to do everything I could to keep her as naturally well as possible. Right. And myself. So that was a big life-changing moment.
Yeah, completely. So tell me what exactly is in Cold Begone to make it so effective.
Well, it's a honey blend of different super honeys. I'm obsessed with bees, always been obsessed with bees. So one of the honeys is a commercially recognized now Manuka honey. It's a super honey, and there's about 10 of them around the world. And what it potentially can do is kill any bug that comes in contact with it. And not only kill it, but reverse a germ's ability to be antibiotic resistant. So I created my little honey blend. It took me like 2 years. I was mixing it up in mason jars in my kitchen like a maniac. Right. So it's a proprietary honey blend, homeopathics, and essential oils so that it's pleasant to use, because my idea was, let's stick it up our noses where everything is happening.
Right. It's a great idea.
It's got to be pleasant. Yeah, it's got to be pleasant and gentle to use. I also learned that our nose is as integral to our immune system as our gut. It's loaded with lactobacillus. It is the first line of defense in staying well. And so it's its own biome, and nobody is recognizing this. And most of us have destroyed that biome by the time we hit 40. And I thought this was the ultimate solution to that, because honey is probiotic, it's prebiotic, and it attracts moisture. So I was just sort of thinking about it from every angle, and then begging everyone I knew, hey, shove this up your nose and let me know what you think. Which didn't go over so well at the beginning, but then people would come back and go, oh my God, I had a cold for 1 day, or everybody got sick but me, or my symptoms were minimal. I could breathe through my nose. It's amazing. And so then about 5 years later, my product came to market, and on April 22nd, we're going to be in over 3,000 CVSs.
Wow. Congratulations. And I have to say that putting honey up your nose really doesn't sound that bad, because just recently I tried apple cider vinegar in my neti pot, and that burned. And so honey sounds real nice.
Yes, and not all honeys are created equal. Some of them can be pretty caustic. So it took me forever to come up with the right blend. And I had tried neti pots as well. I thought I was drowning. I am a neti pot failure. So my whole nasal swab method is born out of my inability to be a big girl and do a neti pot.
That's funny. Well, but also especially for little kids. I mean, this is a great product because it's easy for me to maybe rub a little honey up my daughter's nose real quickly, even when she's napping or anything like that. But I can't even get close to her with one of those nasal aspirators. So I'd rather have a preventative measure than have to worry about that.
Exactly. I couldn't do it either. And I couldn't even get the little squeezy bulb, and they're having none of that. And so I would put a little, wash my hands really good, put a little on my pinky and boop, boop, shove it up their nose really fast, because sometimes I was worried with the swab that they might bob their head really quick. Nobody wants that. Yeah. So that's another thing, is that a lot of nasal mists and saline, it doesn't belong up your nose. And for it to be shelf stable, it may have benzoates in it. It may have chemicals or alcohol, and that's just sterilizing the biome and undermining the nasal immune function altogether. So you can also send bacteria, if you have a bad infection, further up into the nasal cavity, which can again, undermine your objective, which is to heal and to get healthy. So when you swab, you just stick it in a little ways, and then your little hairs deliver it. You'll taste like a sweetness about 10 minutes later. It's really pleasant.
That sounds terrific. Well, and I also think it's a great thing to bring, and we'll have to have you back on the show another time to talk about traveling, but I think it's a really good item to bring with you on the airplane, because I always squirt nasal saline up before I take off to try to keep the germs out. This is perfect, and it's comes in a very small box, and I think this is a great preventative measure to try to prevent germs when you and your children are flying. So where can people go for more information? I know you said it's going to be in CVS at the end of April, 3,000 locations. What is your website?
It's coldbegone.com, and that's BEE like a bumblebee. And you can email me at joyce@buzzagogo.com, BUZZAGOGO.com.
Perfect. Joyce, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm looking forward to trying Cold Vegan myself and with my daughter. I love finding new homeopathic remedies to try to prevent colds, to help colds, because we all know going through the whole cold medicine, like I was saying this past week, I tried every medicine I was allowed to take under the sun, and I'm not normally a medicine person, but I was that desperate, and nothing worked until I tried something more natural. I'm Michele Jerson, the Passport Mommy. More coming up in just a few.
Mom Talk Radio, a busy mom's best friend.
Hi, it's Michele, and I'm currently on maternity leave. I did have my little boy. So here's a show that we love to record, and I thought you'd like to listen to again as well. We were talking last week about the toy fair that was held in New York City, and I loved meeting so many different brands that were there, but in particular, Schleich, because they are such a classic brand of toys and collectibles for kids and adults alike. So on the line with me, I have Chris Swam. He is the Schleich USA Marketing Communications Manager, responsible for executing and managing the company's marketing and communications programs, providing Schleich with his expertise in value and brand management, communications planning, and public relations execution. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Michele. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So tell me a little bit about Schleich. I got to see firsthand just the intricacy and how amazing every figurine and every toy that you have just is, in the work and the craftsmanship that goes into it. But for those who aren't familiar with Schleich, tell us a little bit about the brand.
Well, Schleich it's a European company, headquartered in Schweibersheim in Germany. Been around for about 84 years. They are known for their high-quality, handcrafted, hand-painted figurines. We're one of the largest animal figurine manufacturers in the world. And we have a philosophy that we want to be able to promote creativity and imaginative play opportunity for children, via our animals, and help them really develop themselves, through good playing concepts with our animals.
Right, exactly. Because I think open-ended creative play is so important at all ages and stages of childhood. And you have 6 play worlds for children ages 3 to 12. Tell me about those. Right.
We have 3 that we kind of consider to be our preschool recruitment type franchises with our Farm World and our Wildlife. They're targeting, kind of the lower end of like the 3 to, probably like the 3 to 5, 4 to 6 range, when children are just starting to get their first exposure to animals and, developing their, motor skills and just starting that path of, of a creative learning process. Then we go into our dinosaurs. Dinosaurs for a little older child, right on the edge of probably preschool to in school. They're a little bit more of an aggressive play age. I hate that word aggressive, but let's say a more interactive play age. And then you go into our horse club, which is for an older, more of our older child. It focuses on life, life on a horse farm, or not a horse farm, but on with a horse club. You have four teenage girls that are, they all grow up together and they hang out together and they ride together, and children can kind of form their own fantasies through that. And then you have our 2 fantasy lines, Eldador and Biala, which are, they are the kind of the cusp of the imaginative play for us. This is where you have things that are outside of the normal animals. You have fairies, you have unicorns, you have things like mermaids. You have in our Eldorado world, you have creatures that are kind of spawned by animals, but they've evolved. You've got a fire bull, you have an ice dragon, you've got a fire dragon, you've got a battle crab. So really allows children to be able to, still have a connection to animals, but have an opportunity to, experience, fun play in an extreme fantasy world.
Right, which is so neat because, I mean, as you know, kids of all ages, my daughter just turned 2 and she already is into unicorns, but I don't think she quite understands fantasy versus not. But I think it's so great that you have all those different lines of toys. Now, also, you do a lot of research in Schleich to come up with just the most up-to-date research when designing your figurines.
Right, we come at things a couple different ways. I mean, obviously, we do market research. We go out there and we have test groups we work with, and we do a lot of market interviewing, trying to figure out, what do our consumers like? What does millennial mom like? What are her triggers? What are the triggers for our children? Just to get the ideas for, how we can continually improve, our animal figurines and our play worlds. But on top of that, we also work closely with scientists and paleontologists to make sure that, like animals like our dinosaurs are the most realistic they can be.
Yeah, which is really neat because I don't know many toy companies that would do that. So I think that just adds a real extra dimension. So where can people go to see all of the products that you offer, your website, maybe social media, and to buy anything that they're interested in?
Yeah, obviously, our website is probably the first and foremost place for people to go, www.schleich-s.com. And that'll take you to our full portfolio for what we have for 2019. Other places where you can keep up with us, obviously, we have a Schleich Facebook, we have a Schleich Instagram, we have a Schleich Twitter, starting to look at things like Pinterest and expanding our world there. And then we have a few videos on YouTube and also looking to expand that moving forward into 2019.
Perfect. And for those who might not know how to spell Schleich, just so they can get to your website real easily, it's SCHLEICH. Chris Swam, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you, Michelle. And always remember, #I like Schleich.
All right, there you go. I like Schleich. That's very catchy. Chris Swam, he is the Schleich USA Marketing Communications Manager. And again, you can head to their website to check out all their really neat figurines. They make great gift ideas for, like I said, both kids and parents. They're great collectibles. They can be passed down from generation to generation. I'm Michele Jerson, the Passport Mommy. More coming up in just a few. We're going to talk with a sleep expert if you're having issues trying to get your baby or toddler to go to sleep. It's Michelle, and I am very busy with my new baby boy. So in the meantime, while I take a few weeks off, here's a show that I loved recording, and I thought you'd like to take a second listen.
Mom Talk Radio, a busy mom's best friend.
I'm Michele Jerson, the Passport Mommy, and I'm thrilled to have with me Gavin Lodge. I met Gavin at a mommy event, and he was showing off his very fashionable diaper bag that he came out with. And he told me that he also is a performer on Broadway. He has quite a story to share. And so with me, I have Gavin Lodge. Gavin, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a thrill and a pleasure to be here talking with you.
Thank you. So when I met you, I had my daughter in tow, and this show, I have my daughter in tow because she decided to wake up from her nap. So tell me a little bit about your background, because it's very interesting and you've done so many things.
I've been really lucky to lead a really fun and exciting life, I have to say. And I feel like it's on brand with you as Passport Mommy, because I grew up as an only child with a mom who just put me in the passenger side of the car, and we went driving an awful lot. And she made me a pretty adventurous and impulsive personality that I am right now, which leads to you to understand how and why I've gotten to where I am right now, I'd like to say. And it's definitely thanks to my mom. I grew up in Colorado and studied at the University of Colorado International Affairs because I wanted to go be a diplomat. And then I got distracted by working on a presidential race in 2000, not to date myself too badly, but I worked as a field organizer in politics back in 2000, which was really fun. And I was inspired because working in campaign politics was so exciting and adventurous because I was thrown into the deep end of pools often without even knowing if I could swim, but I did. And I ended on a high note in 2000, working actually for a U.S. senator who ended up winning. And she said, you can come and DC and work with me however you want. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm done with campaign politics. I always had a love for theater. Because politics was so inspiring to me, I thought, I'm going to go give New York a try. So I moved to New York. And lo and behold, a few years, a decade later now, or more than a decade, I've been in 5 Broadway shows and have been in a bunch of TV spots. I've been in a guest star on TV and have done a few small films. I'm nobody famous by any stretch, but I have had a career that I'm proud of, and it's fun. And then, if I might just go ahead and keep talking, when I was expecting my first kid, I was in a Broadway show at the time, and I was certainly overwhelmed by all of the stuff that you think you need to buy, which we all know you don't really need 80% of it. But I wanted a slick, masculine diaper bag that kind of declared I am proud to be a new dad, or of course mom, but I'm proud to be a new dad, and I have a sense of style. And I was surprised that there wasn't anything like that out on the market. And so, actually, I had then a second kid, and I sat around contemplating this for a long time, for another couple of years. And then I thought, why hasn't this already been done? And so then I thought, way dumber people than me have figured out the business world, so why not give it a try? And very long story short, I, literally wrote out on a napkin some ideas and some plans, and I started networking. And I thought that I would probably go through the Broadway world of asking wardrobe staff or costume designers, hey, can you help me design a bag? But then I was in touch with an actual prototype maker. And one of the benefits to living in New York, there are these artisans out here. And I found a prototype maker who builds for both everyone from J. Crew to Carolina Herrera. And he made my first prototype. And then again, long story short, with lots of mistakes, lots of babysitting hours as I was going out to design and get stuff. The amount of money I've spent on babysitting in this process is mind-boggling. But then finally, I got a bag that I was proud of, and I got a meeting with Barney's, and the bag is at Barney's, as well as about 8 boutiques across the country, which I, of course, am trying to expand upon greatly now. So that is the overall plan of how I've gotten to where I am now talking to you.
And that is an amazing story. Talk about multifaceted. And, as far as Broadway, to start on Broadway, to have been in 5 Broadway shows and still counting, because I know you're still out there auditioning while you're designing this bag. And it's absolutely incredible. So you've had quite a career, politics, Broadway, now designing this diaper bag. So as a mom myself, I have a 2-year-old and 1 on the way. It's really important to find a good diaper bag. Not only a good diaper bag that holds all your essentials, but one that's a little stylish. And oh my gosh, if you find that, you're in business, because it's so hard to find a good, stylish diaper bag. So tell me a little bit about what goes into your bag.
Well, I wanted to say also, I was so surprised when I was on the search for one that I just thought everything was so, especially things that were designed for men specifically and targeted to men, they were so schlumpy or almost apologetic. Like, my wife told me I need to carry this bag. Overcompensatingly masculine. Like, I don't want to look like less of a man if I have to carry a diaper bag around. And I just thought, this is anathema to what 2019 parenting should be. And I wanted something that announced I am proud to be a new dad and I have a sense of style. So what goes into it differently? I've got a ton of functionality. There's a zip out changing station. It converts into a backpack in seconds. There's, of course, 14 pockets that you can carry a laptop in it in a little padded laptop sleeve. And then my favorite part of it is that I have instant access to wipes through a magnetic pocket on the side. And these were all factors that I wished that I had had back in the day. I suppose I wish that I had developed this years ago already, but I went through the process, I suppose, to be where I am supposed to be right now. So I would say it's form and functionality, and something with a slick aesthetic that I by no means think is exclusive to men. It just simply started out as like, why isn't there something stylish for dads? But I have plenty of girlfriends who say, don't even bother marketing this to men. I'm going to carry it. Or I'm going to buy it for my husband, but I'm going to be the one to carry it. So, hey, everybody's included. That's for sure.
Exactly. And the fact that it has a built-in changing station and a section for wipes is great, because whether you're female or male, I have to tell you that when you're rushing to get out of the house, wherever you're going, you are bound to forget something. And then when you get to that public bathroom and you need to change the diaper and you don't have your changing pad or anywhere else that you need to be, and you need that in an instant, it's so nice to know that it's in the bag already.
Or moreover, I can't tell you how many times I was on a playground and I had no other option than to just change my kid either on a bench or literally on the ground. And I thought, there's got to be a better option here than this. But at the same time, you know what? I did it and my kid was fine. But this bag will hopefully help that process too of public changing.
Exactly. And then also when you are out and about and your child goes and takes a nap, and you can just whip out your laptop and do some work without carrying 2 to 3 different bags at a time. Because even if you are, say, a parent who is in New York City and you have the hooks on your stroller that you can hook all your bags to, it is still a hassle. And if you're in the burbs, who wants to have to remember to pack 2 or 3 bags in the car every time you go out?
That's exactly right. And that's why I definitely needed to have a computer sleeve there for my own purposes. And then I also always like to joke that there's one more slot that fits, say, a magazine or a newspaper for you to carry easily. And I always like to say, this is the slot for the magazine that you think you're going to read, but really probably just going to fall asleep sitting there at the playground watching your kid.
Right. Exactly.
Already.
So funny. So tell me a little bit about your kids and the process that you went through and where they're at today.
Oh, thank you. Of course, I'm really proud of the fact that I've got really great, grounded, polite children. Now, of course, behind the scenes, they're just as much of a nightmare monsters as anybody else's are. But for the public front, they do a pretty good job. My partner and I went through surrogacy, and we had one kid was born in my home state of Colorado, and then the other one was born in actually in Vegas to a fantastic surrogate carrier who is just wonderful, and we're still in close contact to her. They're now in 2nd grade and kindergarten. My main advertising picture I use for the bag is actually my younger kid, who, if you look closely, is clearly too old to be in diapers, but I want the first model. So I forced him into diapers. He was furious with me. He was screaming the entire time. So I put my phone into his hand and quickly snapped a picture. And it ended up being a great picture of like a dad on the go with a kid who's already distracted, for better or for worse, by screen time. And then my older kid is now in 2nd grade, and she is absolutely wonderful. And she is my challenge and my inspiration all the time, because we have recently, at the beginning of this year, changed pronouns with her. As she likes to say, I have a boy body, but a girl brain. And she is my inspiration in knowing the importance of self-expression, being true to yourself and being honest with what you want. And also being like, hey, everybody, just calm down. I like what I like. Everybody can just get out of the way. I'm going to be who I'm going to be. And it's, of course, as parents, my partner and I are always super aware and worried that we don't want life to be more difficult for you, or we want to protect you. But the fact is, your kids need to be honest and truthful and speak their truth so that they will be happy and well adjusted. And so we learn probably more from her every day than she learns from us. So
that is amazing.
Parenting is all about the unexpected, expecting the unexpected, and it's been very true for us.
Right. And that is amazing that she's in the 2nd grade and is already this self-aware. And you have to attribute that to the parenting, because, and then just to be able to and to give her that platform to be herself and to express what she's into and what she loves. Because I think so many parents, they're just, whether it's denial or they just figure, oh, my child has to fit into a certain prototype. They're a boy, they're a girl. I mean, I think nowadays you have to be open to everything.
Yeah. And thank goodness it isn't 1967 anymore, of course, or even frankly, 1997 for that matter. We aren't pioneers in this movement. And it hasn't been easy for us. We've gone through a whole roller coaster of acceptance and facing our own fears and our own, demons, and realizing that once we were able to kind of rip off our own Band-Aids of acceptance, then we finally just chilled out with our kid. And then she's been more grounded herself in not having to prove anything and just living her truth. Talk about lessons that adults need to learn from children. So.
Oh, yeah, it's so true. It's amazing. It really is, just watching them grow and see how much change and how much they learn just without the filters around them. And then as you get older, like your daughter and your son, they know what's going on around them, but to remain that outgoing and open is just, it's phenomenal. So tell me again, where can people go to find your diaper bag? Tell me the websites, tell me the Instagram, the stores.
Thank you. I'm happy to. EC Knox is the name of the company, and that actually stands for my kids' first initials of their names are E and C, and then Knox, Knox, is actually my middle name. So that's the reason for the company name. My website is ecnox.com. So that's ECKNOX.com. My Instagram handle is at e.c.knox. And then the bag is also found at Barney's, and Barney's actually in New York and Beverly Hills, and then also Barneys.com. And it's soon to be on Amazon on my own store. I'm actually in the process of setting that up right now. And then I've also got stores that you can look on my website, but it's already in independent boutiques in Aspen, Kansas City, Miami, Menlo Park, which is the Bay Area, and Los Angeles. And I do also want to mention that, of course, I've been very, very fortunate to have this kind of high-end bag that in lots of ways, it's probably, I realize it's an aspirational price, but for instance, when I started this out, I wanted a fashion statement. I wanted something that was going to cost a couple of $100 that I was going to invest in and I knew I was going to carry. And the bag, the liner comes out so that it actually becomes a messenger bag that you can carry for years on end. So it's an expensive bag to fabricate because of all the product, the features and pockets. But it's also something that will actually last for years to come. So hopefully that justifies the admittedly not bye-bye baby price.
Right. And you know what? And I think that is important. And I think, sometimes people need to invest in products that are maybe a little bit more money, but that are going to be those long-term products that can go far beyond the baby years. Gavin Lodge, thank you so much for joining me today, founder of EC Knox. I love your bags. I know you have different types of bags on your website, so I encourage everybody to check them out. I'm Michele Jerson, the Passport Mommy. More coming up in a few.
Mom Talk Radio, a busy mom's best friend.
I'm Michele Jerson, the Passport Mommy. Welcome back to the show. So I have with me on the line Linda DiCarlo. She is the U.S. Postal Service's Manager of Safety and OSHA Compliance Programs. She's responsible for developing and implementing nationwide safety and ergonomics programs. And I wanted to have her on because this is a topic that I don't think we have ever talked about on this show, or maybe a lot of people don't even think about. But Linda, you're saying, or we have heard, that dog attacks are a nationwide issue and not just a postal problem. The Postal Service is driving home the message that dog bites are a national problem. And I wanted to talk to you about this because especially if we have little ones, this is something we really need to watch out for.
That's absolutely correct, Michele, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. How many times have you ever heard or even said, "Don't worry, my dog doesn't bite"? Well, if it's got teeth, it can bite. At the Postal Service, we always like to say even good dogs have bad days. And last year alone, 5,700 carriers were faced with a dog having a bad day and sustained a bite. Now, that number pales in comparison to the nearly 4.5 million people that got bit by dogs last year, and most of those are the elderly and children.
Yes, and I feel terrible to hear that so many postal workers, because obviously they are vulnerable. They're going up to people's doors, and especially sometimes maybe your children are opening the door and they have a relationship with the postal worker, which is so nice. But then the dog comes along and, like you said, might have a rough day.
Yeah, the dogs are doing what they're supposed to do. You know, we bring them into our family because we love them. We want them to love us. They protect us. They're protecting their property. And that's why, as a responsible pet owner, it's really important that you understand the obligation to make sure you put your dog in a separate room if you're going to the front door, whether it's to retrieve mail or to greet visitors. You never know how the dog's going to react to a stranger. We also ask that you don't let your dog run loose. You know, everybody likes to take the dog out without a leash, let them run free. Well, that's when problems occur. And as a tip for kids, we want to make sure that you don't have your kids take mail directly from a carrier in the presence of the dog. Dogs are very protective, and when there's that reaching out between the two parties, the dogs take that as a threat. And we want to make sure that not only are our carriers safe, but so are the kids.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, all situations. And like you said, the postal carriers are just a portion of the population that are affected by these dog bites. So those are excellent tips. And tell us more about, I hear there's a technology that the Postal Service is using to protect its workers.
Yeah, we're really excited about that, Michelle. You know, we've been for years, we train employees on what to do, and that training starts from the very first day they're hired and continues throughout their career. But we're starting to be able to leverage some of the technology that we used to use for other purposes, but that we can now use to help alert our carriers and keep them safe. The first is what we call our mobile delivery device. That's that blue scanner that you see the carriers using when they deliver a package to your door. Well, we have a feature in that system that will let a carrier notify us that there's a dog at that address. This way, if they're on vacation that day and somebody else is carrying the route, that carrier gets an alert before they approach the porch to tell them that there's a dog that lives there. We also have some systems for our customers to use. We have what we call package pickup. Through the USPS.com, you can schedule to have a carrier come to your house, pick up the mail, and take it to the post office for you. Well, in that system, you can also alert us that there's a dog on the premises. And the last technology, which is the most exciting for us, is a new application that's free for every customer. It's called Informed Delivery. This system will send you an alert every day, an email or a text message, and tell you what mail you can expect to be delivered. It'll even provide pictures of that mail for you.
Oh,
this
wow.
gives you, as a pet owner, sort of advanced knowledge to say, hey, somebody's actually going to have to come out of their car and deliver to the porch, so let me make sure my dog's in the back room. So it's a great opportunity for both of us to help protect each other.
I love it. And I love that the Postal Service has taken such advances to protect both the families and the workers. So where can people go to find out more information on the technology and just tips in general?
Well, Michelle, your listeners should go to USPS.com, and if you search dog bite, you'll find an interactive map so you can see what kind of dog bite activities taking place in your neighborhood. You'll find other tips and resources and tools. And if you're social media savvy, you can track us at #PreventDogBites.
Terrific. Linda DiCarlo, thank you so much for joining me today. Really very informative, and that I think we don't think about as parents as often as we should. I'm Michele Jerson, the Passport Mom. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you soon.